Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching in the world, welcome along to the Hyundai N Virtual Cup. Here we are at the Europe Regional Semi-Final, and we are live here, and we're bringing ourselves onwards towards our first day, where we're first starting at the Red Bull Ring in the heart of Austria. Myself, Kieran McGidley, and I've got Antonia Rankin alongside me tonight. Good evening, Antonia, how are you?
Good evening, Kieran. I'm great, thank you. This is going to be so much fun. It's really coming down to crunch time in this championship. I'm so excited to see what happens.
Absolutely, we've managed to pick out those 20 drivers from our regional qualifiers to bring us to this semi-final, and all of those points mattered in those scheme of things. 20 drivers will now join us. We'll then narrow that down to 15 for race 2, but we'll get into all of the housekeeping very, very shortly. What's promising to be is it's going to be very competitive all the way through. And just to give you a reminder of how the Hyundai N Virtual Cup is taking place, we're currently at the third stage of it, at the regional semi-finals, where the top 20 from each region from the regional qualifiers made it this far. Tonight we'll find out which of our 5 Europe region drivers will go to the World Final on the 11th of January. And where will the World Final be? Well, it'll be in South Korea at the SOOP Coliseum, where we'll have an all expenses paid trip for our drivers to go there, with a total prize pool of over $100,000. And for our drivers, they'll be able to have a share of that prize pool coming into tonight's semi-final. Going into it, first off though, we start here in the semi-final stage on the 7th of December for Europe. Tomorrow will be the USA. We've got Korea on the 14th of December, and China will round off our regional semi-final racing on the 15th of December. By then, we'll know our 20 drivers who will be going all the way to South Korea. Well, here's how we look up then tonight's round of running. First race, we'll be qualifying in 15 minutes with a 30-minute race. If you're in the top 15, you'll score points. But if you're in the bottom 5, you are eliminated from the semi-final. Those 15 drivers will make their way to race 2, where there'll be a 10-minute qualifying session followed by a 20-minute race, and the top 5 point scorers from all of tonight will then move on to the next phase for the World Final, and the World Final being held in South Korea. A great opportunity for our drivers to jet off, all expenses paid, to make their way into South Korea on site to race away. A beautiful city, and it will host, I'm sure, some beautiful racing on the 11th of January. But we've got to decide which of our 5 drivers are going there, and the way we will do that is with our point scoring system, very similar to what we had in the qualifiers. But just to remind you, 25 points for the winner, 20, 16, 13 and 11 for positions 2 through to 5. Position 6 will get 10 points, 7th is 9, 8th is 8, 9th is 7 points, 10th is 6, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for 11th through to 15th place. And no points, of course, for anyone below 15th place, because if you don't make it into the top 15 in race 1, you will not be able to progress through. Bonus points on offer for fastest lap during the race for 2 points, and pole position will be 3 points on the board there. So there's plenty to do, plenty of points for our drivers to score in the grand scheme of things. Well, we can't go racing really without talking about how this all boils down. $7.7 thousand per region is available at this stage for our drivers, and that will all be calculated, and so our drivers will be able to walk away with money here tonight as part of it. But Drivers' Championship will be $62,400 in the World Final, and also $11,000 for our Region Champion. That is available to all 4 regions that are racing. And here is how that prize pool is broken down per region. $1,500 for our top point scorer here tonight, which goes all the way down to our 20th place driver, who will be walking away with a cash prize. So very much all to play for, very much on the line is financial. So there's a chance for these 20 drivers to have their say on what money they win here tonight. Definitely one to watch is Maximilian Benecke. Managed to get a perfect run all the way through the regional qualifiers. He's going to be one to watch in that number 71, but there's plenty of talking points for these 20 drivers. We whittled them down to 15 by the first race, and only the top 5 point scorers from race 2 after race 2 will make their way through. Of course, we can't go racing without knowing where we're racing and what we're racing in. So Antonia, it's over to you for the track.
Well, we've got some hugely exciting tracks coming up, two of my actual personal favorites, so I'm not going to be showing any bias here, but just know there might be some creeping through. So to begin with, of course, we've got Silverstone and the Red Bull Ring. Like I said, two of the absolute best that we have to offer. Silverstone, of course, 5.89 kilometers of pure brilliant racing coming up. Red Bull Ring, 4.318 kilometers. A bit shorter, established in 1969, 10 corners, all of them are sweeping turns. Really great to see these cars in action. So we started off at the Red Bull Ring with it being called the Österreich Ring, which of course translates to the Austria Ring, and then the A1 Ring later on, and now that it's owned by Red Bull. The Red Bull Ring, of course, it's hosted a variety of events. It's a hugely versatile track, known for giving unexpected winners, so I'm sure we can expect something to be really shaken up today. Like I said, very fast. It's got beautiful, majestic scenery behind it, and a relatively short lap in the first half. Power is going to be rewarded, and in these cars in a spec series, it will be interesting to see who does manage to pull ahead, because of course no one will have the speed advantage unless they're in the slipstream. So speaking of these cars, these Elantra N TCs are absolutely incredible. We've seen them in action for months now, all the way from the Sim Racing Expo and the pre-qualification rounds all the way through to today, our semi-finals. Now these NTCs, whilst we're racing them virtually today, have in real life been incredibly successful. 2021 TCR Europe winners with Sebastian Loeb, of course, a huge name in this kind of racing. 2022 IMSA Manufacturers Honours, TCR Italian champions, 2023 winners of the inaugural TCR World Tour for Drivers, and the third consecutive win at the Nürburgring 24 Hours, where it won on its debut. We've got a 2.0 litre engine, front-wheel drive, 6-speed gearbox, 350 horsepower, and every test here.
Brilliant stuff. And the scene is set then. Thank you very much, Antonia, for giving us that little bit of history at track and car. Always really nice to see where we're racing, history behind it, and also the cars as well that have had a very good pedigree behind them coming into tonight. And our drivers, as you say, Antonia, have been experiencing that over the past couple of months. Believe we're not too far away then from jumping into qualifying and seeing how our drivers will shake themselves up, who will get the first points of tonight. 3 points on offer for pole position, and as we've got just over 6.5 minutes left on the clock, is it any surprise to see Beneke at the top of the order? Maybe the only real surprise is that he's not too far ahead up the road. It's number 20, Moritz Lerner, who is in second place at this current time, rounding off the front row. Then it's Kieran Harrison rounding off the top three. There is Lerner, who's just making his way now in towards turn 2 now. That slight kink left is turn 2 before you then make your way up towards the heavy braking zone of turn number 3, as drivers make sure they know where the track limits here are, and they're all policed inside Assetto Corsa. So if Assetto Corsa allows it, our drivers will make sure it happens. Antonia, I'm very much looking forward to this. You see the front wheel drive cars, you really have to be aggressive with them to get any sort of heat into the tyres.
You do. We've said this before in the rounds building up to today. You almost have to overdrive the cars and really get used to how it's going to respond, because like we've been saying, a lot of the sim racing going on is in rear wheel drive cars. So there has been an adjustment period. I'm sure by this point all of our drivers are thoroughly prepared. But it's a great circuit for these Elantra N TCs as we see them coming around now. At the turn 3, as you come up past that slight kink of turn 2, like you said, it's so important to get a good start to your lap here. You need good traction for that back straight into Schlossgold. You've got uphill, downhill braking. That's quite difficult. Rauch is quite an understeering corner, and like we found with these front wheel drives, oversteer is a big issue. So that might be a difficult for the drivers, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. They're going to be using every bit of the curve at this track. It's a very fast track. It's a very sweeping one. Like I said, it's a roller coaster set in absolutely beautiful, of course, virtual mountains. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, as we go through these qualifying minutes, how the races develop and who seems to be popping their head out to begin with.
Yeah, I'm glad we've not mentioned any virtual hills are alive with Sound of Music sort of area. I'm very glad we haven't done that yet. I might stoop to it, you never know. There is the number 62, Sean Arnold, representing Veloce Esports, making their way now through out of turn 1 in towards turns 2 and up towards turn 3 of Remus. Then a very heavy braking zone uphill as well. So in theory you can leave your braking slightly later, as gravity might do some of the work for you, but these Elantras have been very stable under these drivers. We've had quite a few compliments when we've spoken to drivers coming through in towards the regional qualifiers, that the cars, once you get a bit of practice behind them, once you're familiar with them, once you've learned them, they're very predictable. And that's so important for a driver, that they want a car that's stable underneath them, predictable underneath them as well. If you have an unpredictable car, Antonia, it's not going to help the driver settle into a race.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's why experience is going to be so integral as we come into the final rounds of this championship. The driver needs to be able to feel their car and predict their car. You want to be driving something that is responsive, not where you're putting in input, you're not getting anything back. So the likes of Beneca, who is so experienced, and that's why we see him at the top of the charts, because he will know exactly where to put his car in order to get the maximum output.
Yes, absolutely. There's Luke Whitehead, 15th place so far, just over half a second away from Beneke. So not too many margins at all when you consider there's Sean Arnold now going up to third fastest, just pipping Kieran Harrison by a matter of a couple of hundredths of a second there. Sean Arnold now 2/10 off of Beneke's fastest lap time in the session so far. Top 10 separated by just over 4/10 of a second. Top 15 separated by less than 6/10, and all 19 drivers so far are separated by just over 1 second. Mightily close field, and it's only a small preview of what we're probably going to see for the whole night, Antonia. We'll see Luke Whitehead then make his way across the line then. What will he make of that lap time? Don't think he improved on that lap time, so stays 15th fastest for now. And he's only 0.003 of a second away from Yuri Toman in the R8G esports representation there, with 14th place. But it's mightily close all the way through the field. There's Kieran Harrison making the way down in towards Schlossgold then in the number 93, and getting the power back down then as we make our way through in towards turn 5 then. And as you can see, Kieran fully focused ahead there in that Asher Racing livery. Through he goes then towards the left-hander of Rauk, and then towards the next left-hander of Versten, in towards the 7th corner of the track. Flying through then we get towards turn 8 then, where you can get yourself a little bit more curb there to make sure you get the straightest line possible. And I think Kieran's aborted the lap then. He's obviously going for a little bit more tyre warming. This was obviously an outlet for him, but now heading our way through in towards Rindt corner. Named after the only posthumous champion in Formula 1, Jochen Rindt. Fantastic driver behind the wheel, and one of Austria's finest there. Kieran Harrison making his way across the line to begin a new fastest lap, but we only have about 60 seconds left on the board for qualifying. Watching on then for Moritz Lerner in the Maus Hyundai as we make our way through in towards Rauk corner. And still just about over a tenth and a half, I should say. If I get my words in the right order, we'll be halfway there. But Lerner then, about 0.16 seconds away from Beneke's time, as he'll make his way now through in towards turn 8, using the curb there to his advantage, and making his way now over the crest towards turn 9 then. And of course, our drivers won't have to worry too much about pit entry here. They can take whatever line they want through here. Maybe in qualifying they might have to give it some thought. You do have to commit early. It's one of those pit lanes that starts on the racing line, essentially. You've got to be careful not to understeer, but our drivers don't have to worry about that tonight. Here is Lerner across the line as Tinko van der Velde moves up to 11th fastest then. Just outside now of the top 10 in the number 66, but there's Moritz Lerner powering out of turn 1 of Niki Lauda curve, and then upwards and onwards then. Checker flag is out then, so that is going to be 5th fastest for Nikodem Sobchik then. There is Dominic Blair as he makes his way around the final corner then. Beneke has completed qualifying. What position can Blair get? Can he get himself up the order a little bit higher towards the end of this one? I don't think he can there. He stayed 7th fastest. We watch on then 87 of Daniel Librant as he makes his way through in towards the penultimate corner, and then onwards towards that final corner then through in towards turn 10. Powering down, can he get an improvement on 7th fastest in this qualifying session as he'll power his way towards the line? I think he abandoned that lap in the end, so no is going to be the answer then. But it's going to be, I believe, Maximilian Beneke who is on pole position, and we'll get confirmation of those qualifying results. They're all important. Not only did they decide the grid, of course, for our 30-minute race upcoming here in Austria, but it also decides who scores the first points of the Europe regional semi-finals. Pole position is worth 3 points here, and I do believe they're going to go the way of Maximilian Beneke. But if qualifying has told us anything, it's going to be almightily close. 19 drivers separated by just over 1 second, and there is confirmation then. It is going to be Maximilian Beneke on pole position for race 1 of tonight here in the regional semi-finals of Europe. So the first 3 points go to him. It's going to be Moritz Lerner in 2nd place. 3rd place then goes the way of Sean Arnold, with Kieran Harrison in 4th. 5th place go the way of Nikodem Sobchik, followed by Florian Haase in 6th place. 7th place is Daniel Lebrant, and 8th place goes the way of Dominic Blyer. 9th place then goes the way of the number 12 Thibaut Cazolbon, and rounding off the top 10 is going to be the number 26 of Jack Olivier. 11th place is Tinko van der Velde. 12th place is going to be the number 14 of Kamil Pavlovsky. 13th place goes the way of the number 48 machine, that's Rafael Soltysiek. And 14th place goes the way of the number 44, Marcel Chinzik. 15th place then goes the way of the number 16, Yuri Toman. 16th place is the number 55 of Luke Whitehead. 17th place goes the way of 85, Arthur Camera. 18th place goes the way of the number 8 machine of Alessandro Ottaviani. 19th place goes the way of the 81 car of Robbie Stapleford. And 20th place then, no time on the board, hopefully we do see him in the race, is going to be Niels Naujoks. Our 20 drivers have decided their places in qualifying in all of that, and we'll see what we can do, what our drivers can face here. Remember, top 15 score points. Not only that, but our top 15 will make their way through in towards race 2 later on tonight when we head to Silverstone. If you finish 16th or lower, you are eliminated from the regional semi-final. So it's really important you get a spot into that top 15. And just because you're in the top 15, maybe you finish 15th place, you get in there, you get the ticket to Silverstone, that by no means means you're out of the running for top 5. It's top 5 points. So top 5 point scorers after both races. Both races will score points. And if you're in the top 5 point scorers after that, then you make your way going through into the next part there. Of course, we couldn't do any of this without thanking all of our sponsors as well. Logitech G and 6 Up from Lottie Wellfood as well, as Logitech is sponsoring this one. So a big thank you to them. Once again, a big thank you to Logitech then, but we're already underway then here in Austria, and what are the starts like then? It looks like it's been a brilliant start for our pole position driver then as we make our way through in towards turn 1 then. Beneke gets himself ahead, and there's the 62 of Sean Arnold. 3rd place now as all of our 20 drivers fire their way in and out of turn 1. Everyone looks like they've got through scot-free then, and yes, Maximilian Beneke in the number 71 does lead the way then as we make our way up the crest then, up the hill towards turn 3 then. Top 2 trying to break away from the rest of the pack then, but we're trying to go side by side here. Florian Haase in the 67 trying to get a move down the inside there, might have a chance here to try and find his way through, but he's going to be chased all the way then, all the way down the hill towards Schlossgold and down towards turn 4 then. There's the number 5, that's Dominic Blyer, who's on the outside of the 87, Daniel Lebront, as Daniel Lebront leaves his braking late though, locks up and goes in towards the gravel. Daniel Lebront is off then at turn 4 and will have to try and make his way, claw his way back onto the circuit. Meanwhile, Dominic Blyer tries and thinks about a move up the inside of Florian Haase, going through in towards turn 5. No way through for him, but he'll stay right on the tail then, right on the rear wing as we make our way through in towards Firth Corner, in towards turn 7 as we ride on board then. Right behind, this is the number 7 of Nikodem Sobchik, looking to try and engineer a move around the outside. Watch out ahead as well, as we're looking perhaps to go 3 wide. We're riding on board with Pavlovsky then. What about up ahead? There's a bit of argy-bargy going through the final corner. If you lose the back end of these front-wheel drive Elantra N TCs, you just mash the throttle down, and Pavlovsky tries to get himself alongside the 67 of Florian Haase. You've also got a Williams representative along the left-hand side, 3 wide across the line then, as we make our way up towards the first corner once again, and braking hard now going in towards the first corner then. It's Kamil Pavlovsky who are riding on board with, but look at that Hyundai army making their way out of the first corner. And now watching on with the 14, Kamil Pavlovsky right now in the slipstream of Florian Haase, I believe then. Further up the road, this is Blyer trying to go around the outside here of a move here to try and get a way past Jack Olivier, but there's 2 cars going very wide on the exit of turn 3. Pressure gets ramped up, and of course these battling moments here will get even tougher, even harder here. We're surely not going 4 wide down towards turn 4. We might be, you know, as we watch on with Blyer then, who tries to find a way around the outside of Olivier, can't quite find it through then, as there is the number 48 machine. That's Rafael Soltisek, as he's trying to find a little bit of an advantage against Blyer and Sobchik here, having to go the long way round. That's a little bit of a bump there, and he gets a little bit of momentum against him there, does Soltisek, and he falls all the way down now to 19th place, as there is the number 48 machine now. Soltisek trying to find his way back onto the order then, as Kazalbon in the number 12 machine trying to keep a cool head in these scenarios here. This is where it's all so important. There's also battling going on behind him as well, as we're looking to see if any, well, there's great battling going on, and I would say, would they settle down into this race? I have a feeling they won't. Heading our way across the line to start lap number 3 of this race then, as riding on board then with Daniel Lebront. Of course, he ended up in the gravel at turn 4 on the very first lap. Right behind him though is Tinko van der Velde, gives him a little bit of a love tap. He had a bit of a momentum and just didn't have anywhere to go with it. In all of that, Ottaviani has managed to take advantage of that, and now is in the slipstream of Daniel Lebront then. Will Ottaviani try and move down the inside in towards turn 3? He certainly thinks about it then. Down the inside he goes then, but no, the door gets shut then, and no way through for Ottaviani. Now he has to be careful of Soltisek right beside him, right alongside in the number 48. Blyer and Olivier still battling away then, as that's Jack Olivier up the inside at turn 4, leaving the room on the outside, and Dominic Blyer is able to get the power down. He might be on the outside going in through turn 5, but on the inside of turn 6 here, as we make our way through, charging through. Jack Olivier recedes the position for now against Dominic Blyer, but that battle is far from over. Much like the battle further behind, you've got battles for 8th place, you've got battles all the way through here. There's Florian Haase in the 67 trying to chase down the 55 of Luke Whitehead, as we'll make our way onwards towards turn 9. Behind him, Pavlovsky and Kazalbon as well, through towards the penultimate corner, and then onwards towards the final corner we go then. Haase feels that pressure from the cars behind them. Pavlovsky is right behind him as we make our way onwards towards the first corner once again. Still plenty of time for these drivers to sort themselves out, to sort out what order they want to finish in. Of course, they all want to finish as high up as possible, but they'll need to make sure they have all they can in these early stages. Don't get into too much trouble, as there's a little bit of ardor going on in the background, a little bit of battling. Ottaviani, I think, trying to find a way past Daniel Lebront then, going through in towards the turn 2 now, as we are going 3 wide then, so it's a little bit further back then. as down we go in towards, or I should say up we go in towards turn 3. That's the 87 then. Trying to find positions then. So that is Daniel Lebrun in 14th place. As we make our way now down the hill towards turn 4 again. Slipstream all in order, all in action as we head our way down here. Is there a way through for Chinsik? As he tries to find a way around the outside of Soltisek then in the number 48. No way through then, but still battling to be done all the way onwards and upwards then. Ottaviani seeing if he can find a way. He's got the move then. He manages to open up the gap against Daniel Lebrun. And now Chinsik, the Hungarian, riding on board with him now. As we look to see, is there a way up the inside? No way through there. And we head our way through the 7th corner, still battling all the way through. Antonio, it's been absolutely hectic in the midfield here, all battling for those important points.
Yeah, the great thing about these Elantras is they really can follow so closely. As we see them all coming around here, they can follow so nice and tightly with each other. We've been seeing it through the other rounds. They can literally barely fit a paper down the middle of them, and they as you see them just coming down this straight, tied together, trying to get that slipstream. As we see him come out wide, can he capitalise on this? No, not quite, not yet. Not quite getting enough of a boost there. Obviously, with all of the cars being the same, they've got the same top speed, so you need to use your own personal instincts to get the advantage, because the car's not going to do it for you.
Yeah, this is highly intense as well, because you're working so hard here. Ottaviani has him to try and defend the inside line against Chinsik, and also Soltisek looking for a move up the inside as well. No way through there. Ottaviani manages to hold on for 14th place, but also that's Yuri Toman in the number 16 machine as well, trying to see if he can pick up the pieces at this stage, riding on board when on the back of Ottaviani. Soltisek then tries a move, then we are briefly 3 wide. There's a bit of door to door, then there's a lock-up from Ottaviani. Manages to keep it all together, but in all of that he's lost 3 positions, potentially 4 if Daniel Lebrun can get that momentum on his side. He can't. Tinko van der Velde right behind as well as we head our way through in towards the 6th corner once again. And just those little moments we saw again, Antonia, a little bit of a moment, and that might cost you 3 or 4 positions.
That's the thing, as we've just been saying, with them all following so closely, so goes that if you put a toe wrong, it will be very costly. And we see battles like this going on right now, which will allow the cars behind them to slowly catch up. So you just absolutely cannot put a foot wrong. There's a lot of pressure on these drivers' shoulders, as we see Max Benneker at the front not quite managing to maintain his gap. We can see Lerner just closing up a little bit there, because every single inch on the track you can gain thousandths, if not tenths.
Indeed, Jacques Olivier is abiding by that one, but we're looking 3 wide in towards the 1st corner as Tinko van der Velde down the inside of Daniel Lebrun. And of course these 3 are currently in the drop zone. They're outside of that top 15 right now, and it's a case of, do they want to be squabbling over P17, or perhaps maybe just form an unlikely alliance to work together to help catch back up? Well, that's not on the cards for Daniel Lebrun at this stage, looking to try and find a way past Ottaviani. Ottaviani himself trying to find a move up the inside going in towards the 3rd turn. There is Blyer here right on the back of Jacques Olivier. And what's most important about these is where we saw in the regional qualifiers, where you just have to make it into this top half here, or make sure you score a good amount of points and you book your place into that final race of the qualifiers. Here it's not just about making it into the top 15, you also have to score a big amount of points, because it's the top 5 point scorers from both races that advance to the world final.
Yeah, every single point matters, every position matters, as we've seen there. Blyer doing absolutely everything he can to make up those points, because they're so important. The cumulative scores are what's going to get you to the world finals in Seoul, not that single position that you're about to yield there. We can see car number 12 of Kazobon really just fighting to try and find any inch that he can to peek out round there. But even now at this point in the race, with 20 minutes to go, we've not got huge gaps opening up in the field. There's not a huge deficit even between Benneker all the way down to Ottaviani. So there is still so much to play for. These races, it's easy for us to say, well, there's 20 minutes left, but I'm sure for the drivers it goes very, very quickly. As we see there, Blyer pushing along the car ahead of him, not letting him have an inch spare. I'm sure it'll be all over his rear view mirrors there. Gosh, it's so much pressure on the defense, because like we were saying, you can't put a foot wrong, and anything that your opponent can take away from you, they will.
Oh yeah, just like sharks in the water. If they spot any sign that you're struggling, they will try and jump on there as Dominic Blyer gets right up close and personal with that rear bumper of Jack Olivier. Just behind them as well is Nikodem Sobchik in the number 7 machine, just seeing the rear view mirror as we ride on board with Dominic Blyer. As he makes his way through the 6th turn onwards towards the 7th, it is Maximilian Beneke who leads the way then in the number 71. Second place right now is Moritz Lerner, and then it's Sean Arnold who rounds off the top 3. There is your race leader, and I always say, if you're leading the race and we don't see a lot of you in the broadcast, it normally thinks you're doing everything right thus far.
Yeah, it is a good sign if we're not seeing a lot of you. Beneke there, as he's been proving throughout the rounds, just controlling the race, not putting too much pressure on his shoulders, but allowing himself to guide the cars around. And like I said, with these battles opening up, he'll be quite happy to get all the way out of the way. Whereas within the pack, it's not so easy to do that. We'll have Sobchik just watching that battle unfold ahead of him between Olivier and Blyer, just biding his time. He won't want to get involved because any mistake is hugely costly. Any spin will basically rule him out of the championship. So as we see the battles going along here, there's going to be some real mental gymnastics and some real strategy coming into play.
There'll be mental gymnastics in the commentary box as well, as we try to get a provisional point scoring on the board. But a move behind then for Kazalbon as he likes to try and move up the inside of Florian Haase. I think he has got that move done, but Florian Haase is drawing alongside him. You think you've got the move done in towards Remus there, but then the momentum shifts and Florian Haase now has the inside line, hanging our way down towards turn 4, decides not to use that inside line. So up to 10th place goes Thibaut Kazalbon as Florian Haase just has to regroup and try again. Pawlowski and Luke Whitehead just ahead of them in that battle for 8th place. So we're starting to see now, you've got sort of drivers starting to break away in these groups. You know, the biggest group we have right now is about 4 or 5, and it might be to do with this battle for 8th place. You've got also a battle for 12th place involving what looks like 4 cars at the moment. Camera, I should say, in 12th place, and it's being chased by the likes of Chinsik, Soltisek and Toman. We're riding on board then with Jack Olivier, who's being chased down by Dominic Blyer. Out of the final corner we go, and this is just something here. Jack Olivier just seems to be placing that Elantra in the right place. And whether it's Dominic Blyer feels he can't get past, or whether he feels like it's not worth getting past right now, well, that's only for him to say.
Yeah, you can see Blyer there, taking just ever so slight inches left and right, seeing if he can make it around, seeing what the best line is. As you can see here, he gets so close, and is there a little kiss at the back there? There is, wow. Dominic Blyer just reminding Jack Olivier that he is still there and he will capitalise. You can see they're taking incredibly wide lines here, using literally every inch of track available to them. Track limits are important, yes, but in a race like this, you want to be finding whatever space you can for these cars. As we see here on the straights, with these swooping corners, you have to take quite a wide line in order to continue the smooth steering, not lifting off too much off of the clutch, because that's also important for making sure that you're keeping those time deltas in your favour. You don't want to be having jagged steering inputs because you'll lose more and more time. So Blyer here matching Olivier's pace beautifully.
Yeah, just matching him for pace right now. And yeah, as you say, a little bit of a kiss on the bumper as well. Bit of a bump draft perhaps. So just try and give Jack Olivier the hurry up down the straights to work together at this stage. Feels like Dominic Blyer is just biding his time at this point. And yes, they are using beyond the curb as well. Well, the track limits are policed by Assetto Corsa itself. So whatever Assetto Corsa says is okay, our drivers will know about that, because the whole point of our drivers is what isn't allowed, okay, fine, but how far can I push those limits? And for the drivers, they found those limits. Jack Olivier and Dominic Blyer battling away for 5th place as we make our way through in towards the first corner here, and not too far behind. I mentioned it before, Sobchik just not too far away. Luke Whitehead is now on the back of Kamil Pawlowski as we make our way onwards towards turn 2. There's a bit of squabbling in the background as well. I think that's involving Arthur Camera as we make our way onwards then with Luke Whitehead up towards turn 3. A quartet battle for 8th place headed at the moment by Kamil Pawlowski, with Luke Whitehead, Thibaut Kazalbon and Florian Haase all a part of the quartet.
Yeah, Camille doing a great job there. There must be so much pressure seeing 3 cars right in your rearview mirror. Luke Whitehead, we know, is an incredibly established sim racer. He's got a lot of championships under his belt. He will not be here to play around. And they'll know that. Pavlovs will know that he's right all over him and could have the advantage here. So to hold on, to keep his head in the right place with those 3 cars in equal machinery behind him, it all comes down to who is the better at taking the right lines, who is the most risky without crossing the line, and, like we're seeing here, who can control their own race.
Yeah, and I've watched on with Luke Whitehead. I've known him for a couple of years. He is a bit of a perfectionist, which is a bit of an oxymoron in itself, a bit of a perfectionist, but never mind. He knows he wants the best performances possible, and sometimes even he's not happy with second places or sometimes podiums because he knows there's more pace to be found. So he'll be looking for every inch of pace that he can. Watching on then with the number 48 of Rafał Soltysek as he's looking for a move here on the 85 of Camera. Looking for that move then. Has he got the line then? It's a tighter line in towards turn 1 here, so you might find yourself a little bit washed out here, but not such a case for Soltysek. Manages to get the move done, and look at that as well. That's Chinsik there in the number 44 looking to take full advantage of Camera, who might have been slightly compromised on the exit of turn 1, the fact that he was going side by side. But Camera breaks later in towards the first corner. Can he swoop his way around the outside and get the power down? Well, he can certainly swoop his way around the outside. Does he have the momentum advantage as we head away down the hill towards turn 4? Well, it looks like then Chinsik initially had the toe being given to him by Soltysek up ahead, and now Camera on the outside line trying to fend off the number 16 of Toman. There's a bit of contact there, but Chinsik just running slightly wide, able to gather the car back up. And, well, we always thought there was going to be hard battling here because these are all battling for a place in that top 15. Tinko van der Velde currently right now in the elimination zone in race 1.
Yeah, we've got a really nice example there from Marcel Chinsik of just being able to take something a bit riskier and it paying off. We saw in the earlier stages of that lap, he was taking a different line, being able to foresee, okay, if I have the disadvantage here, I'll have the inside line in the next corner. We see car number 16 there, Yuri Toman, all over the back of Camera here. He will not let him breathe. Camera will be just trying his best to just keep his eyes ahead. It's all very well that he's got 3 cars very tightly behind him, but coming onto the straight here, it's a very long first few turns. Like I said, power is essential as we see here. Goodness gracious, that's just getting so tight there. This first part of the lap is essential for setting the tone for the rest. If you get a good send out of turn 1, Max Verstappen himself said, it will set you up for the rest of the lap there. Car number 85 of Arthur Camera just trying his best.
And who better to take track guides from than the newly crowned 4-time Formula 1 world champion? All about momentum, but momentum might have been lost then for Yuri Toman as he has to rejoin off the sleeping policeman. That raised curb there might lose a little bit of momentum there, and does. Tinko van der Velde looking to see if he could get himself maybe 15th now to 14th up the inside of Camera. He tries to go, no way through on that occasion, but Tinko van der Velde is a fighter. He is a warrior behind the wheel. He will not give up on these occasions. He sounds like the coolest driver on the grid. He probably is the coolest driver on the grid. But even he knows that there's a lot of pressure at this stage. He found the inside line on Camera, then does Tinko van der Velde, gets himself up the inside in towards turn 7, but a slightly tighter line might compromise that momentum, and Camera here will look to try and look around the outside in towards the penultimate corner at turn 9 at Rindt corner. Then through we go then, Van der Velde just ahead then, but Toman sneaks his way through up in towards that top 15 with only 10.5 minutes left on the clock.
Camera perfectly demonstrating there just how costly it is to dip a toe into that gravel. You see here how much he's lost out to Van der Velde there as he pulls away. He's now 2 positions down. An aggressive pull left to sweep into that right-hand turn, and now he's going to be on the back foot for the rest of the lap. It's so important that you don't lose that rear there. You saw it twitchy a little bit when he lost that position, and that's how important knowing the car's limits is, having control of where you are putting the car. When you speak to racing drivers, it's really interesting. They say that the car is an extension of themselves, that they can feel what the tyres feel themselves. Obviously with virtual racing, they might not physically be in the car, but they know their machinery. See here, they're so close together, that beautiful trio there. They can feel exactly what the car is doing, and it might not be predictable, but they need to be able to predict it. So we see here, Camera here having lost out, but I'm sure he'll be able to fire back in the next couple of laps.
Dominic Blyer then, just trying to size up that opportunity against Jack Olivier. Hasn't been able to find a way past, but we've sort of been split on whether he wants to find a way past at this stage. Jack Olivier is currently 3.7 seconds away from Kieran Harrison up in the top 4. And so maybe Dominic Blyer is thinking about the long-term game. 9 minutes left on the clock. Maybe working together is probably the better strategy. It's just a case of who breaks off that, unconventional teamwork here. Of course, there are no team championships here. Every driver is out for themselves. But when we talk about in this stage of working together, we're talking about potentially bump drafting, potentially not battling the driver in front, using that little bit of slipstream, potentially even swapping positions, just so the person with the slipstream has the better run up towards the next corner. In this case though, Dominic Blyer seems happy at the moment to sit behind Jack Olivier. I just wonder when he will pull the trigger and try and go for a move to get himself into the top 5 to score some big points here.
Yeah, exactly like you said. The slipstream here, or when it's being used to your advantage, the toe, is going to be an integral part of getting the speed advantage that your opponents who might be in dirty air or might be powering along on their own just won't have. So we could see a little bit of tactics coming into play here with Olivier and Blyer. They do seem quite content. Either Olivier is hanging on very well and controlling that battle very well, or they've settled into a bit of a rhythm. We've only got just under 8 minutes remaining of this race. Points are going to be so integral, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see this rhythm that's been established here be obliterated with only a few minutes to go.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Nikodem Sobchik has fallen back slightly. He's just shy of 2 seconds away from this battle. And as we ride on board then with Dominic Blyer making a way out of the final corner and onwards towards the start-finish straight. So the pole position time was a high 1 minute 35. So we're probably looking at about maybe 4 laps to go in this one. But don't quote me on that. My maths in terms of working out times and laps is questionable at best. What I can say though is Dominic Blyer is making a calculated attempt to just put Olivier under a bit of pressure. There is Thibaut Cazabon in the number 12 machine. Luke Whitehead and Florian Haase just ahead in this battle for 9th place as they make their way onwards then through towards turns 2 and 3. Up the hill then they'll go towards Remus then. Is there once again a way through Cazabon, maybe thinking about the move on Luke Whitehead, but no, not yet, as Luke Whitehead you see in the opponent cam, Cazabon in the camera below him, you just see there Luke Whitehead with a smile on his face. He's absolutely loving this at the moment. I know he's loving the battling right now. He's currently within the top 10 and we'll have to keep our eyes as well on the top 15 because of course if you do not make it into the top 15 you do not progress into race 2.
Well, and that's going to be the key thing here, as we can talk about these battles all we want, but further down the grid, if they don't make some big moves roundabout right now, we will not be seeing them. Luke Whitehead here, just sticking on there, doing a very nice job. I do thoroughly enjoy these opponent cams. It's so great to see their faces. We can see some grins. We can see some very steely, concentrated expressions. This is mentally and physically a very intense exercise, as we see here on the straight. Luke Whitehead just absolutely making that car as wide as possible for himself and doing a relatively good job of doing so from the threat of Cazabon as we come around this corner here. And you can see the gaps open up. You can see where each opponent is stronger than the others. Are they quick on the corners? Do they lose time there? It's quite interesting to see from this specific point of view as we see their very focused expressions in the meantime.
Oh, absolutely. And heading into the last 5.5 minutes of this race, because Albon got slightly out of sorts out of the final corner and lost a little bit of time. But we have seen, or at least on the leaderboard, Dominic Blyer get ahead of Jack Olivier. So he's decided at the 5.5 minute mark he's had enough of following behind Jack Olivier and now wants that position then. He's, I think, slightly ahead by about a front bumper as we make our way onwards then down the hill towards turn 4. He'll be on the outside then as Jack Olivier will try the inside line to help defend that position. Blyer around the outside. He should get the power down and he will also get the inside line, heading our way through in towards turn 6. We're just on the exit of turn 5. Now turn 6 is upon us, and Blyer gets the move, gets the line, does he? Ahead of Jack Olivier, moves himself now up into 5th place. Jack Olivier has been defending well, placing the car perfectly, but Dominic Blyer has decided now is the time to strike.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that there was both a figurative and literal putting the foot down going on there. Blyer, sick of tailing behind Olivier, getting very used to the sight of the back of his car, and decided that it was Olivier's turn to have a look, as we see just a little oversteer there, a snap of it, as the nose of his car just whacked into the corner there, and he'll have lost some really valuable tenths of seconds there, giving Blyer the advantage coming into the start of one of the last laps of the races. Like we said, we're really starting to see the pressure on now. These are the last few moments that the drivers will be able to establish their positions and cement their place coming into the final race.
Yeah, I've been watching on with Dominic Blyer, who's been expressionless going on in this race, following behind or trying to get away as he makes his way now through in towards turn 4. But you just saw there Jack Olivier trying to push hard to get the position back. A couple of moments for him there, and that just invites the likes of Nicodem Sobchik to try and apply the pressure himself. Meanwhile, Thibaut Casalbon has managed to get away past Luke Whitehead in towards turn 3 and will try and squeeze and shut the door then. Luke Whitehead trying to find that way through, but he knew that door was closing and had to back out of it there. Onwards we go then towards turn 4 then, hard on the brakes as Casalbon and Whitehead will be battling away for this position. Florian Haase is not too far up the road from them, but as they make their way through in towards turn 6 now. Just over 3 minutes left on the clock. It's Beneke who leads then by about 2.5 seconds at this stage. And we've got Moritz Lerner in 2nd place, Sean Arnold in 3rd, Kieran Harrison in 4th place. The top 4, it's been relatively uneventful for them. They haven't really battled amongst themselves. They've kept each other at arm's length for the most part. And Beneke starts what will probably be the penultimate lap of this race then. But there is Beneke, who was flawless in the regional qualifiers, picked up every point he could. Both fastest laps, both pole positions, both race victories, and Beneke looks comfortable here with only about a couple of laps to go.
And that's what separates a good sim racing driver from a great one, maximising, forgive the pun, every single opportunity he's been handed. He's done a beautiful job of getting off the line and just leading his own race. It's so easy, especially in a series like this, to get distracted by everything going on. There's some traffic. It gets quite crazy, particularly like we've seen in the midfield. And Mr. Beneke at the front there has done an exceptional job of just keeping his head down and getting on with it. But in those top 4, we've seen a very controlled race, and they'll be cementing their place in those final rounds, hopefully getting a shot at that brilliant prize fund.
Yeah, the top 4 have read the memo, haven't they? They've kept themselves to themselves, kept out of trouble. That was the main thing. As long as they broke away early, they had half a chance of scoring some big points in race number 1 to take through in towards the second race of tonight then. Watching on then with Nicodem Sobchik in 7th place right now, still with a chance of getting back into 5th place. But he's got to find a way past Jack Olivier and Daniel Blyer to do so. There goes up the inside Luke Whitehead on Thibaut Casalbon. No way through that time around, but Luke Whitehead is fired up. He wants that place in the top 10 as he'll make his way now in towards turn 9. Thibaut Casalbon defending this one as well. Luke Whitehead is having to work for this one. Casalbon is placing his car, he's placing his Elantra TC perfectly here at this time, and you see how aggressive Luke Whitehead is being. A shake of the head. He wasn't happy with that final corner, but I believe we're on to the final lap of this race. We're keeping one eye on the lead, we're keeping a couple of eyes on the battles up the field, and we're also keeping an eye on that top 15. If you're outside of it at this stage, or when the checkered flag falls, you are out of the semi-finals.
Yeah, the likes of Daniel Lebrun right now will be just having to do absolutely anything he can. Can he do much? No, it doesn't look like it. I think we're going to be pretty set in our top 15 who's going through. It's nice to see the smiles on the face of some of the drivers. It's interesting to see the contrast in how they approach these races. You can see Luke Whitehead smiling away there, enjoying the battles. There is a great spirit about this championship. There really is, but through these very intense and very long-lasting battles, they're enjoying themselves. One of the biggest pieces of feedback we hear as we see Luke Whitehead just make that move happen. Has he made it stick? No, it doesn't look like it. Oh, but it's run wide. Can he make this stick? Can he carry this through into the final few moments of this race? and he's got the outside line here. It doesn't look like it'll happen on this particular corner.
Timer has expired then, and through in towards the final corner, the number 71 machine of Maximilian Benecke then makes his way towards the checkered flag for yet another win in the Hyundai N Virtual Cup. He takes the first win of the Europe region semi-finals, and a big haul of points for him going in towards race 2. It's Moritz Lerner in second place, Sean Arnold in third, Kieran Harrison rounding off fourth place, then Dominic Bly did manage to finish ahead of Jack Olivier for 5th and 6th place, then Nikodem Sobchik in 7th place, Kamil Pawlowski in 8th place, Florian Haase in 9th, and Luke Whitehead did manage to finish ahead of Thibaut Gazalbon. And then we have 12th place then is number 48 there, which is Rafael Soltisek finishing there, Simsek in 13th place, Toman 14th, and Lebrant finishes in that top 15. So we have our 15 drivers through there. They all scored points that will all be carried through into race number 2. But unfortunately, Antonia, we have to say goodbye to 5 drivers who finished below 15th place.
Yeah, and it is difficult at this stage. They've almost come so far, so close, but not quite. But what we can take away is that there's been some absolute top-notch driving. In the bottom there, we've got Van der Velde, Ottaviani and Kammer, who we'll be saying goodbye to. Some very valiant efforts, some brilliant battles, and some incredible talent on show. There is absolutely nothing to be disappointed about.
No, absolutely not. A second, unfortunately, there for Arthur Camera means he does not progress in towards the race 2 here in the Europe region semi-final. Ottaviani, Tinko van der Velde also we have to say goodbye to. Some strong field here. Lots of battling to be done, but Maximilian Benecke once again comes away with a victory by just about 2.3 seconds. Looking at the gaps between each of the drivers here just shows you how close it was. Florian Haase, Luke Whitehead, Thibaut Gazalbon. Whitehead and Gazalbon managed to catch Haase in the end, or at least towards the closing stages. Luke Whitehead finished ahead of Gazalbon in those closing stages, you see, by about 1/10 of a second. Incredible. And Soltisek was keeping tabs on that battle. He would have absolutely picked up the pieces there had that opportunity arose. But there's our top 15. Daniel Lebrant gets himself into that semi-final, gets a point to his name as well. Of course, we don't take into account of regional qualifiers. All the points are reset at this stage. So we start afresh. Maximilian Benecke then getting at least 25 points for the race victory, 3 points for the pole position. And we'll have to wait and see if he got that all elusive extra 2 points for the fastest lap. But it looks like so far so good for Benecke.
It's hugely exciting. I think Benecke has just shown some really exceptional talent and been a standout throughout every round that he's competed in. But like I said, through the grid, just some exceptional battles. It's so fun to watch, and just as a fan of racing, to sit back and enjoy. I mean, first and foremost, I love racing, and these Elantra N TCs have given us show after show, and it will be so interesting to see how the battles we've just seen here at the Red Bull Ring will translate at a track like Silverstone, where it's so mixed. There's so many different types of corner, so much to be challenged by, and I'm really interested to see how these drivers will approach those challenges.
Yeah, it's a shorter quali at Silverstone, it's a shorter race as well, so the intensity is just going to be even higher. As if we could make it any higher, shorter sessions means it's going to be very, very nip and tuck there. But if you've got yourself a good result, say top 3, top 4, you're halfway to securing your spot then. You just need to make sure you have a good race in race number 2. Don't crack under that pressure at this stage. You've done so well so far. Let's see what happens. I mean, again, Dominic Blyer and Jack Olivier having a great battle. It was might have been more of a case of Dominic Blyer just holding back and just waiting for the optimum time to strike. And at about the 5.5 minutes remaining mark, it seemed that the perfect opportunity arose for him.
Yeah, like we've been saying, mistakes are hugely costly. In a race like that, where you were already comfortably getting through towards this final race of the European rounds, why would you take an unnecessary risk? Why would you risk spinning, risk coming all the way back out of the points? It's just not worth it. So some really intelligent driving going on then, knowing when to bide your time and then when to engage.
Yeah, and obviously that will all be a case as well in race number 2. Maybe not so much strategic, maybe it's going to be more points to score, and so we'll drive as hard and as fast as we can. Well, we're going to take a breather. Work's going to go on behind the scenes. Our drivers are going to take a break now. So when we come back after this, we'll have Silverstone ready and waiting for qualifying. So we'll join us in a little while. When we come back, we'll have more racing, and after that we'll find out our top 5 point scorers who will book their ticket to South Korea. We'll see you soon. +1.
There's more to driving than getting from A to B. It's not just hitting the tarmac, but owning it. It's choosing a road with the most curves, not the shortest. Not just logging in, but drawing a crowd. Not just jumping, but reaching the top. So never just push the pedal. Listen. Hear the roar. Never just embrace new tech. Ignite it. Never just take a corner. Find its limit. Remember, never, ever just go from A to B. Never just drive. Hyundai N.
Motorsport has been in our DNA since the beginning. Our passion for driving is everywhere, anytime. Even before 30 years, our enthusiasts competed at Australian Rally and took the crown with the first generation Elantra in 1991. This was one of the moments our high-performance dream was ignited. Motorsport is where we prove ourselves against the toughest competition. Motivated by pure passion, we continue to hone our game. Even after the ovations and celebrations, we didn't stop there. Our passion had only just awoken. Victory makes us stronger. Winning is part of our DNA. And the Elantra N is the pinnacle of our racing spirit. We're now joined by a solid following of enthusiasts. We are forged from the same blood. A passion for N. We are everywhere, and we can hear each other out of the crowd. We created the ultimate N sports sedan, just so that we could enjoy it and share the joy with you. The Elantra N is powered by the passion of all of us. Together, we grow stronger. Welcome to N.
Fantastic start for Mikelic. Hyundai looking strong. All this touching. Yes, Norbit, what a win. Look at the Hyundai go. What a win for Hyundai.
True calm only comes at speed. The initial hour sets the pace. Endurance is as crucial as speed. Intuition is our guiding light. The green hell makes no promises. The indefinite wait is the greatest trial. Perseverance takes us to the finish. '24 Nürburgring 24 Hours Race. 4 teams, 15 drivers, 4 qualifying rounds, and 1 final race. Standing firm in the face of challenges, Hyundai N reigned victorious once again. Unchanging passion changes everything.
When this love takes a hold of you, it makes you fearless and do the unthinkable. Just by the thought of it, your heart beats faster and you feel alive. Like a force of nature, this love is unstoppable and has the power to break all the rules and set the new ones. It pushes you to the limits. A legacy is not built on promises, but on the challenges you overcome. This spirit has the power to lift you to the stars. If you feel this way, you are not alone. For the love of driving. Introducing Ioniq 5N. N brand is the technology powerhouse of Hyundai. We push the latest technology to take pure, unfiltered driving fun to a new level. Ioniq 5N ensures the optimal battery temperature for maximized track performance. Hyundai N ever. Ioniq 5N features powerful dual motors and the 4th generation battery. The reinforced chassis endures extreme track conditions and provides instant steering response. We revolutionized the regenerative braking to create 0.6 G of decelerative force. This industry-leading system creates a synergy with enhanced brakes. Use N-eShift and N-Active Sound Plus as functional feedback and find new ways to carve through the corners with N-Pedal. You can turn off the sound and enjoy maximum comfort with ECS. But when you're ready for takeoff, hear different high-performance sounds blasting out from both inside and outside. Your heart will be in sync with the roars and kicks from Ioniq 5N. For all enthusiasts out there, we hear you. This is not the end of driving, but a new chapter. Our journey continues with Ioniq 5N. Because at Hyundai N, driving still matters.
You gotta feel it.
Drifting away, moving apart, never stopping, never hoped it to start. Now I'm feeling a space surrounding my heart. I'll never run away. But I'll never be the same. I'll never run away.
welcome back to the Hyundai N Virtual Cup Europe Regional Semi-Finals. Race 2 takes us to Silverstone and what is regarded as one of the homes of British motorsport. It sets the scene for our second race of the semi-finals of the Europe region. We've already had our first race at Austria, got us some very, very close battles out there, Antonia, so it's probably going to be more of the same when we head to Silverstone.
Oh, we had so much fun at the Red Bull Ring. It was so great battles throughout the field, some really close ones as well, and some great shows of some really fantastic driving and racecraft, and I'm very looking forward to seeing how it translates at Silverstone.
It's all on the line here. You've got to be in those top 15 points, I should say top 5 points. The top 15 have progressed from race number 1. Now it's the time to make sure you are the top 5 point scorers after race number 2. That is what will get you your ticket to the world final. Before we get into our race 2, let's take you through some housekeeping if you're just joining us for tonight's racing action. So the Hyundai N Virtual Cup on Assetto Corsa in the Hyundai Elantra N TCs with a prize pool of just over $100,000. We're currently at stage 3, the regional semi-finals, and after this second race at Silverstone, we'll be able to decide our top 5 from Europe who will compete in South Korea on the 11th of January. The dates to book for your diary, of course, you're already here for Europe on December the 7th. Tomorrow we'll have the USA regional semi-finals, and then for Korea we have the 14th of December, followed by China for the 15th of December. By then we'll know our 20 drivers who will be heading to South Korea. So how does it all work here? Well, we've had our first race, which was a 15-minute qualifying session and a 30-minute race. Our bottom 5 have been eliminated, which gives us our 15 to move on to race number 2, a 10-minute qualifying session followed by a 20-minute race. And the top 5 point scorers will then move on to the final. The world final in South Korea, in Seoul. A beautiful setting for our drivers, and this is what our drivers are for racing for. Get into the top 5 point scorers, and this is where you'll be heading. We've talked a lot about points. Here's how it goes then. First place gets 25 points, all the way down to 5th place 20, 16, 13 and 11. 6th to 10th gets 10, 9, 8, 7 and 6. And then we have 11th to 15th place get 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. There will be no other ones lower than 15th place because we only have 15 drivers, so you make sure get into that top 5 to secure your spot. Bonus points are on offer as well. Pole position gets 3 points and fastest lap of the race gets 2 points. So qualifying and the fastest lap in the race, very, very important and could decide factors in the top 5. And our prize pool then of over $100,000. Our drivers will have a share of that, $7.7 thousand per region, and drivers will be walking away with some of that here tonight. Our top 20 overall will then get an all-inclusive trip to the World Final in South Korea. A driver championship will get $62,400, and there's also $11,000 up for grab for the region championship. And how that all breaks down for our drivers then. Finish at the top of the order at point scorers, you get $1,500. We've had 5 of our drivers eliminated, but you'll see on the far right, that is where, and the money they will be walking away with tonight. If you've made it to the top 15, you're guaranteed at least $175. So, here are our drivers that made it into the top 20. Nothing to report from the top 15 apart from that there were penalties. Daniel Lebrun, you'll remember, who finished in 15th place. He had 3 5-second penalties added to the end of his race involving contact and passing. So he drops out of the top 15. Arthur Camara will take his place. He'll have no point, he'll have a point to his name, and he'll be looking to try and get himself into that top 5. He'll need a lot of points to swing his way, but never say never when it comes to the Hyundai N Virtual Cup. We've talked drivers, we've talked points, we've even talked a prize money, but we need to know where and in what we're racing in. Antonia, over to you.
That's right, we've got points, prizes and final championship standings on the line this evening. It's going to be such a fantastic time here at Race 2 at Silverstone. This British track is about as iconic as it gets. Originally held a race for the first time in 1948, famously held the first ever F1 World Championship race 2 years later in 1950. It's an ex-airfield, hence why we've got straights such as the Hangar Straight, so named, and it's such an iconic venue within the world of racing. We've got full throttle here, up to about 70% of the lap, around 40 gear changes, and a lot to think about on these mixtures of slow, medium and high speed corners. Drivers are going to have to rely on their adaptability and their responsivity of their vehicles on this incredibly varied circuit. Speaking of which, these Elantra N TCs are absolutely incredible. What a blast we've had with them so far. 2-litre engine, front wheel drive, 6-speed gearbox. These bad boys can get up to 350 horsepower. They've got dual circuit hydraulic brakes. They're very responsive, very intuitive cars, and the drivers have been gradually getting more and more to grips with them. We've seen some fantastic successes in real life as well as virtually with the Hyundai Elantra N TC. Famously, it won on its debut at the Nürburgring 24 Hours, which, for those of you who are familiar, is no mean feat. It then went on to win the Nürburgring 24 Hour 3 times consecutively in its class, amongst other successes such as IMSA Manufacturers Honours, TCR Europe wins, and Italian Championships. It really is such an exciting car to watch race, and it's capable of following so closely one behind the other, and the drivers have been having a total blast. We've had some great reviews, so it's going to be very exciting to see how they fare at Silverstone, one of, forgive my British bias, one of the best circuits in the world.
Thank you, Antonia. Yes, our drivers have had roving reviews about the Elantra, and it shows out on track as well. And we'll give you a preview into qualifying. Let's see how our drivers are taking to the circuit as we speak. We've not got long left of qualifying. Oh, and look at that top two. Beneke and Lerner locking out the front row as it stands there. Lerner is not letting Beneke get too far up the road. Sintek there is in 4th fastest at the moment, and it's a varied one at the moment. Top two are separated by less than 0.2 of a second, and then it's a case of the rest of the field at the moment. Florian Haase is currently 3rd fastest at the moment, just over 0.4 away from that provisional pole position spot, but not long left in qualifying here at Silverstone.
In the bottom right hand there of your screen, we've got Marcel Schischink, who has been very impressive in the rounds leading up to today. He slipped down a little bit during the first race, qualifying just within the top 15, but that's good enough of a job to be here now, and as you can see, he's running in 4th at the moment, so we can expect some good things from him. We've got a full German top 3 right now. That goes to show how focused this talent pool is. It's really great to see individuals like Lerner and Beneke who've been so brilliantly consistent throughout this series. It's so exciting to watch them race. You've got Haase in the bottom of your screen there. He's been fantastic, Florian as well. There have been such shows of brilliance from every single driver here today, and it really is a privilege to be able to watch them go head to head right in front of our eyes.
Indeed it is. There is Kieran Harrison. We didn't see a lot of him in the race, and there's a good reason why as well. We managed to really break away as part of the top 4 in the last race. The top 4 didn't really battle each other, so we never really saw them at the start, or at least from the first couple of minutes into the race. Settled very quickly into his race, got the 4th place he needs, and currently 4th fastest in qualifying right now. So he's a very consistent driver, is Kieran.
Yeah, what we've been seeing in the races is that there's some drivers who are really great at settling into the rhythm, holding their own. Kieran Harrison, a prime example of that amongst the other drivers up on the top half of those qualifying standings. And then there's another divide where there's a lot of battles going on, there's less of a rhythm. So it's interesting to see the differing ways in which drivers approach these races. Of course, we've got a bit of a shorter race this evening compared to race 1, so it's going to be 20 minutes instead of 30 as it was at the Red Bull Ring earlier this evening. So it's a lot more of a sprint. You don't have time to sit back and relax. You'll be pushing constantly. And remember, 2/3 of this grid will not be advancing to the finals. So there is so much on the line.
There is indeed, and this point scoring system rewards that consistency. We'll probably see it from Beneke and Lerner, who finished 1 and 2 in race number 1 this evening. So if they lock out the top two once again, they're probably pretty much booking their spots. Everyone else behind them, they're saying, you can squabble away for positions. One of those who might be squabbling for position there is Nikodem Sobczyk, the Polish driver in the number 7, racing around right now. Finished 7th place in the race 1. Now currently 11th fastest at this moment in time. So he needs to try and see if he can find a bit more pace out there. Checker flag is out there. Beneke currently on pole position right now. Thibaut Cazalbon made his way through in towards the final couple of corners. Then we make our way through in towards Club and onwards then towards the start finish line. Can Cazalbon make his way up the order? Was 9th when he crosses the line. Will he stay 9th? Yes, he will. So no improvement for him. Florian Haase just making his way now down the hanger straight on towards Stowe Corner then. Kieran Harrison did move up now to 3rd fastest. Can Florian Haase take that position back and lock out what has been a top 3 that's got German flags written all over it? And Florian Haase restore that order then through in towards this Club Corner section. Years ago used to be the middle part of the track. Now it's the final corner. Through in towards that final corner onto the Hamilton straight we go. Can Haase take back 3rd place on the qualifying standings? No, he can't, by a matter of a 0.003 of a second, I think that was. So that knocks out our 2nd row then. But Maximilian Beneke looks like he's going to take yet another 3 points for pole position. Every race he started, Max Beneke, he's got a pole position. But no, looks like there, Lerner has got himself at the top of the order. So Moritz Lerner then pole position, Maximilian Beneke in 2nd place. Again, 0.02 of a second separating them at the top of the order. It's Kieran Harrison in 3rd place with Florian Haase in 4th. 5th place then goes the way of the number 44 Marcel Sinzik. 6th place goes the way of Dominic Blyer. 7th place is Kamil Pawlowski. 8th place is Sean Arnold. 9th place Thibaut Cazalbon. And 10th place rounds off there is Nikodem Sobczyk. 11th place goes the way of the 16 of Yuri Toman. 12th place goes the way of the number 48 Rafael Soltisek. 13th place Luke Whitehead in the number 55. 14th place is Jacques Olivier, and rounding off our 15 drivers is Arthur Camara, who got his way through due to penalties to others, but he'll be starting in that top 15 spot. So that's our order decided. We are looking to get into the race, but before we do, we'll have a quick break from our sponsors in Logitech. For 5 of our drivers tonight, a ticket to South Korea has got their name on it, but they're going to have to earn it. Our top 5 point scorers from both races tonight will have their names on the tickets. We're not too far away now from starting our 20-minute race here at Silverstone. It's the number 20, Moritz Lerner, on pole position then as we count up to all red lights are on. They go out, we go racing. What are the starts going to be like? It looks like it's a great start from Moritz Lerner. It looks like he's going to take whatever line he wants in towards turn 1 then as we make our way through. Maximilian Beneke in 2nd place with Kieran Harrison rounding off the top 3 as we make our way now through in towards Farm Curve then, and then on towards Village once again, or at least for the first time, as a move down the inside. There's contact down the inside. Beneke is caught up in that one as we make our way through now in towards the loop we go. That looks like it's the 67 Florian Haase who made contact contact with Beneke then. They're now going to run side by side as we make our way through in towards Aintree, now down the Wellington Straight. All that squabbling has allowed Moritz Lerner to power his way up the field. That's exactly what he wanted to see in his rear view mirrors. There's Kieran Harrison, who's dropped a couple of positions off the start, and there's Beneke looking to swoop his way round the outside of Brooklands then, and he'll try and now grab the inside in towards the Luffield section, which he does just that. And Florian Haase now down to third place. Bit of a dramatic first few corners there.
Florian Haase clinging on to whatever he can salvage there, whilst frankly Moritz Lerner speeds off into the distance. He says, thank you very much for causing that. Off I go, pulling a really nice gap there already, skirting around here at Cobbs. It's beautifully done, heading towards Maggots and Beck. It's a very fast part of the track here. They'll be pretty much flat out on their throttles, as we see here just how much of a gap that has afforded Moritz Lerner. Pulling away, off he goes as everybody else scrambles. They are going too wide round here. It's a relatively wide track. They can afford to do so, but what they cannot afford to do is make contact and ruin their own race.
Exactly that, and it's a case of now Maximilian Beneke has got to make sure he just keeps himself to himself. He knows in this position he's pretty much doing whatever he can to get himself into that top 5. There's our number 5, Dominic Blyer, who makes his way now through in towards Stowe Corner, currently 4th place right now, as we'll make our way onwards then towards the final couple of corners, down through in towards Vale, and then in towards this club corner section. And there's a think about a move down the inside from the 14, that's Kamil Pawlowski, as we make our way now through in towards the final couple of corners, on towards the Hamilton Straight we go. Then at the end of the first lap, it's Moritz Lerner who leads the way then in the number 20, and a good healthy 2.5 second gap between himself and Maximilian Beneke. And Kieran Harrison, all of that, has dropped down to 7th place. He started in 3rd. He's got a bit of a mountain to climb if he wants to get some all-important points back.
Seems that a lot of them will have a fair amount of a mountain to climb there, but if anyone can close up that gap that's already opened up at the front, it's certainly Max Beneke. He's been absolutely exceptional, and I don't doubt that if there is anybody on this grid who can make that lunge, it would be him. We can see here it's starting to calm down a little bit. There's a little bit of a tussle at the back there, but otherwise calming out quite nicely coming through here. We can see as the race progresses how the drivers choose to take this. Again, we've only already got 17 minutes left. There is not that much longer to go, and you can see here there's a couple of jewels just starting to open up a little bit, just trying Dominic Blyer to see what he can get done there. But already you can start to see patterns emerging within the order.
Florian Haase then will have his rear view mirrors full of Dominic Blyer as we make our way through in towards this flying right-hander then of Copse Corner. And Beneke has managed to just get himself away from the action here, away from all of the drama behind him, and that's going to be so important at this stage. Haase then has got Dominic Blyer right behind him there. There you can see the camera in camera. You've got Haase on the bottom camera, you've got Blyer on the top camera, in the opponent camera there, as they all now make their way on towards the hangar straight. Really important that you make sure you don't lose too much time. We saw Sean Arnold about a lap or half a lap ago run a little bit deep in towards Village there, lost a position or two, and is now down to 11th place. And Sean Arnold, who finished 3rd place in race number 1 tonight, currently finds himself outside of the top 10.
Looks exactly like we were saying earlier. Even the slightest hint of a mistake and you will be losing positions. Gosh, we can see there's so little between Dominic Blyer there, just really pushing Florian Haase to the absolute limit, making sure that nothing is going to happen there. You can see the front two have pulled away a little bit. It seems that Max Beneke has managed to pull something of a gap. There's 2 seconds though still between him and Moritz Lerner, so he's still got a fair amount to do. The main concern around a track like Silverstone in a spec series is the fact that there's a lot of corners, aka a lot of opportunities to make up some time. You're not going to be able to take huge chunks out on the straights, so you need to be nailing absolutely every one of these corner entries and exits, picking up the throttle as early as you can, getting as good of a line as you can.
It's all important as well to make sure you stay focused. This is the battle for 3rd place. We've got Dominic Blyer ahead as we ride on board with Marcel Sinsik as we head our way through in towards Brooklands now, and then filing our way in through towards Luffield. And it's one of those waiting games perhaps, as there's a swap of position or a couple of swaps of position between Sean Arnold and Luke Whitehead further down the order. as they look to try and cement a place for 11th place right now. But riding on board with Sinsik then, what we can't see is Kamil Pawlowski and Kieran Harrison also breathing down his neck as well. There's not much room for error, there's not much room to breathe, and possibly going too wide in towards Kopp's corner should be pretty interesting. I didn't quite see who that was, but they both made it through. That might be Whitehead and Arnold actually, squabbling and battling away for position, and if that is, that's Luke Whitehead ahead now of Sean Arnold, heading through Maggots and in towards Beckett's there. Brilliant, lovely camera view to watch all our drivers feed their way through into that high speed that goes to then medium speed section of Maggots and Beckett's and then out of the Chapel Curve.
One thing that's important to consider at a track like Silverstone, just as is its nature, is one corner and how you approach it will affect you for entirely the rest of the lap. For example, coming out of Kopp's through Maggots and Beckett's, your exit from Kopp's matters all the way to Stosov. Luke Whitehead has managed to get a great send there, which it looks like he has. He always shows his colours here. He's been absolutely brilliant. Oh, as we see a little Olivier there just seeming to run straight on, a little issue there, perhaps not quite nailing that. But it's so important to make sure that you dictate where you are on the track. You cannot let yourself be pushed around, and that's what a lot of the drivers will have to think about here. We can see Luke pep talking himself, saying, come on, come on. Obviously talking through his manoeuvres. It's like we said earlier, it's interesting to see their different approaches. But yes, as long as they stay out of trouble and manage to lead the race from their perspective the best way possible, that's what's important.
Scholtesek is giving Luke Whitehead a run for his money here, as we see now making their way through in towards Aintree here. That number 48 is not going anywhere anytime soon out of Luke Whitehead's mirrors. We ride on board with Luke Whitehead looking over the rear wing as the 48 closes and closes. Rafael Scholtesek trying to see if he can find a way through. No way through this time around, and I love the different perspectives here, the different emotions shown on these drivers. Scholtesek looking like he's calculating the move here, deciding and calculating it all in his head. When is the best time to make this move? Where can I size up an opportunity to get past Luke Whitehead? And Whitehead here, determined as ever, making sure that Scholtesek cannot find a way through.
Scholtesek's going to want to get this move done as quickly as possible with only 12 minutes remaining. There's a lot of cars between him and the finale right now, as we see Shishing there in the 5th and final qualifying position for the final in South Korea. It's going to be a massive Herculean effort from anyone beyond P8 onwards, perhaps, to be able to get up there. And as it stands, those top 5 are sitting very pretty, particularly those top 2. They're not going anywhere. There are realistically 2 places to play for right now.
I wonder as well, because Beneke is closing in on Lerner, will he decide to battle away for that position, or will he settle for second place knowing that will be enough to get himself into the top 5 of point scorers? You would probably tell a racing driver, yeah, you don't need to battle that, and they'll conveniently not hear you in that part of the conversation. So we'll keep an eye on it for sure. Pawlowski, meanwhile, we're watching on as he's trying to find a way past Insik here, heading our way in towards Abbey once again with just 11 minutes on the clock. Almost halfway of the allotted time has expired. And riding on board with that purple machine of Pawlowski, then breaking in there. Sinsik just ahead of him in that opponent camera, you can see, and perhaps a look up the inside. You see there slightly different lines being taken from all drivers involved, all looking at that line as being the fastest through that section for that particular point. And as we see, all in a tow, all in the slipstream of each other. When you're running these Elantras at Spec Series, it's ever so important to make sure the corners are absolutely spot on. You're hitting all of your apex perfectly, and that you just make sure you do not make any mistakes. Again, a couple of different lines can be taken through in towards Luffield. You can run deep and get the power down, try and get it down earlier, or take the tighter line, hug the curb, and try and carry that momentum with you. In any case, both lines seem to work about the same.
Absolutely, I do think that Luffield's one of the most challenging corners of any circuit. That hairpin, you can choose an early apex or a late apex, and compared to your opponent, that's how your outcome will present itself. You really have to be quite decisive on where you're placing the car. Like I said at this track, it matters for the rest of your lap how you're getting on. Now, as we look at this order, we could see Shishing's really doing a great job there of just commanding where he's putting the car. He's been great so far for the entirety of the European Series that we've seen him race in. He's been very mature driving, great racecraft. He knows when a car's behind him and it doesn't faze him. It's almost like he completely ignores his rear view mirror. Now, looking ahead towards the top few cars, as we see that beautiful parade coming down here. We had a question in the live chat earlier. Would for example, the Germans at the top, would they work with each other? Realistically, at this point in the race, or at this point in the championship even, everyone will have their own heads in their own race, in their own championship. Because it is so tight, there are only 5 positions. They can't afford to be thinking of anyone other than themselves.
Yeah, for Florian Haase, he finished 9th in race number 1, so he needs as many points as he can get to make sure he gets himself competitive. The top 2 finished top 2 last time around, so in other drivers' point of view, there's really only 3 spots left to try and compete with, and you've got drivers up and down the field there. Kieran Harrison currently in 7th place, looking to try and make amends as he started this race on the 2nd row of the grid. There's Yuri Toman then, as he makes his way onwards then towards Brooklands once again, with just over 8 minutes left on the clock to run. Sobchik and Kazalban also battling away for position. I would like to see as well though Moritz Lerner and Max Berneke, because Berneke's been just chomping into that gap bit by bit, and I really do mean bit by bit. It's hundredths of a second between them each and every time, as Kieran Harrison, I thought, had a bit of a moment going through towards Copse Corner, but he's still, oh, there's not even Copse Corner. That's probably why my eyes were deceiving me. It was through Woodcote. He tried to get the power down then, but Kieran Harrison all over the back of Kamil Pavlovsky, as again we have this view of Maggots and Beckett. Berneke trying to close in on Lerner, and we see the battle for P4. Sincic and Blyer 5th and 4th, filing their way through in towards Maggots and Beckett and out of Chapel Curve.
I would love to get inside. I don't know about you, Kieran. Dominic's head right now, Dominic Blyer's head, he's clinging onto that P4. He's got Shishing behind him, yeah, sure. But because they're all so close together, if one car overtakes him because he's left the door open, it's likely that he'd lose 2, maybe even 3 places. It's great to see the steely looks on their faces as they come up in the opponent cameras there. We've got Shishing just on your screen with you as he follows Blyer here. But it's so interesting to get into their heads, like I was saying earlier, know how they connect with the car and how they connect with the track, particularly at such an integrally competitive moment like this.
Absolutely, and drivers are going to have tracks that they like and tracks that they don't like. It's all about making sure you just score as many points as you can. That's the name of the game. As we ride on board then with Marcel Sincic, as will he look, he size up the move then? He thought about it, definitely thought about a move up the inside of Dominic Blyer. No way through. Oh, there's a bit of a tap at the back then from the car behind. That's the 14 of Kamil Pavlovsky. That opens the door then for Kieran Harrison and the number 93 to try and get a move up the inside in towards Aintree. He's spotted that gap and has planted his Elantra in that spot. Will he have enough momentum to keep himself on the inside of Kamil Pavlovsky in the battle for 6th place? That's all going on behind Sincic as, Pavlovsky tries to close the door, but Kieran Harrison is still there. We come the outside line though as we head away in towards Luffield, and that is where Pavlovsky in theory should have the advantage. He gets the power down and is able to hold on to that position. Kieran Harrison has to settle for 7th place at the moment.
Yeah, Kieran Harrison and Kamil Pavlovsky there driving in almost a formation around those final few corners, neither relenting. We love to see it, this competitivity, but clean racing still. They did give each other room. There were a couple of slightly aggressive moves outwards, nothing that normal defending would rule out, but we can see here car number 16 there, Yuri Toman, getting involved now because that battle going on, that's given him the opportunity to get his nose in and see how it figures it out. So what we can see, as we've been seeing for the rest of the competition, is just how important it is not to get so caught up in your own battle, as Kieran Harrison is now learning, that you forget that there's people behind you who will capitalize on any 10th of a second that you drop whilst you're consumed in your own fight. The fight isn't just with the car in front of you, it's with every single driver behind you.
Very good question in the chat though, asking about what if Lerner and Beneke, because they've had a P1, a P2 and a pole position each, how does their position get decided? It's the result of the second race that's the tiebreaker. So Lerner would finish first in the standings and Beneke would finish second as it stands. Gazorban and Sobchik battling away for position then as we make our way through in towards the final corner. Gazorban in 9th place, Sobchik in 10th as they look to try and battle hard on this one as we head through the first corner. Just 4.5 minutes remain in this one, so we're looking at probably 2 more laps.
Yeah, and as you observed, Kieran, Beneke there just inching ever closer to Moritz Lerner there. Now the gap is sub 1 second, fluctuating around the half a second to a second mark, but he's chipping away, and like you said, with only a couple laps to go, if he's going to make a move, now will be the time. Will he? I'd love to hear your opinion actually, Kieran. Do you think he would risk it?
I think he would. He's got to score the points. That's all that matters at this stage. There's no sort of playing it safe and, you know, finishing in the top 5 will get you there. No, you have to score as many points as possible. So Blyer and Sinsik here will be battling hard. Sinsik, by the way, finished 13th place in race number 1. He needs these points. He's going to go for this move. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, let's see how this unfolds as the lap progresses. We've only got 3.5 minutes left on the timer. If he's going to do it, it needs to be absolutely right now, and he needs to make it stick. He's been fantastic, Marshall Sinsik, but he's going to need to make a bold move here as we see them coming round. It's really difficult to judge when they're going to just take that lunge, take that extra step here. He's following Blyer beautifully and doing so at a safe distance to himself, but he's going to need to take the lunge at some point. Like you said, he might be safe within the top 5, but safe is in quotation marks there. He desperately needs these points. We can see the slipstream in action here, just inching ever closer and closer to Blyer, almost so close that he could just tap the rear of his car, just kiss the bumper. Remind him, I'm right here. Don't you put a foot down. They come down Stowe, heading towards the Vale chicane. Coming round Club Corner is going to be a very decisive point here. The Vale chicane is one of the slowest parts of this track. There's a dangerous little sausage curb there that he beautifully avoids. And coming round Club, it doesn't seem like he's any more closer to getting that position off of Dominic Blyer.
This is important for Sinsik. He knows he has to make this move. Dominic Blyer finished 5th place in race number 1, so he's putting himself in good stead for a place in the top 5. Sinsik needs to make the move happen. Through in towards the second corner at Farm Curve. Now sizing up in towards Village Den, but no way through for the Hungarian on this occasion. He's just trying to see if he can manufacture this move, see if he can find a way up the inside or around the outside, but Dominic Blyer is proving a worthy adversary. He cannot find a way through at this point in time, and we saw, Dominic Blyer and Jack Olivier have this as well. Jack Olivier was defending hard. Dominic Blyer found it hard to get through, or maybe was just holding back slightly until the right moment. Now he's on the receiving end of this now, and Sinsik is in control to try and find a way past. Dominic Blyer, though, able to keep himself ahead. Both of them are closing on Florian Haase up ahead meanwhile, so it's a case of they might be working together at this stage in a driver-only championship where it's Sinsik out of all of them who really needs these points.
Yeah, you can see Dominic here. There's the rear view as well, excellently, so nicely displays just how close Sinsik is coming to his behind. The thing is, he's making that car so wide, the gap might be closing, but there's still no open door for Sinsik to just sneak through. So if Marcel does want to make up this place, he's going to have to take a really big risk. Dominic Blyer's not going to let this pass him by easily whatsoever.
Not by the slightest. Sinsik then making his way out of Chapel Curve and on towards the Hangar Straight, trying to use as much of the slipstream from Dominic Blyer as possible. Meanwhile, behind them, Pavlovsky feels the need to defend from Kieran Harrison. Pavlovsky gets the inside line. Can he try and hold on to that one? Keep his nose ahead? Yes, he can. Kieran Harrison tries to swap here. Now he'll have the outside line once again, but this time heading our way through in towards Vale. He backs out of it. Pavlovsky defends well and holds on to 6th place as we are on to our final lap of the race. Moritz Lerner makes his way across the line with about 20 odd seconds on the clock. Final lap of this race then, where you're probably going to see from one certain Hungarian, there's going to be a move that needs to be made at some point, but there is your race leader, and as it stands, he would be topping the regional semi-final charts for Europe.
Moritz Lerner could not possibly be in a better position than he is now if he just holds on for the remainder of this lap, which, with as it stands a 1.3 second gap, it looks like he'll be in an absolutely optimal position coming into these World Finals in South Korea. And what an exciting opportunity for him, and heavily well deserved, as we see Dominic Blyer there. It looks like he's going to be able to hang on. Marcel Schunchik is all over him. He has been so consistent with his attacks. Full praise to Marcel there. He's been absolutely exceptional this race. It's so hard to keep putting that pressure on, both applying it and from Dominic Blyer managing to withstand it and not letting him pass, not putting any mistakes out there for him to capitalize on. And as we come round, the clock's down to 0. We're on our final lap. I think we've got a pretty stable grid here now.
Well, let's see. We've still got half the circuit to go. I wouldn't call this too soon, as Sinsic here really attacking Kops, then running slightly wide, right onto the back now of Dominic Blyer as we head away through in towards Maggott and Beckett for the final time in this race then. As you said, Antonia, the timer has expired. It's going to be now or never here for the Hungarian to see if he can find his way through. He needs all of these points. He finished down in 13th in race number 1. He's got a good opportunity here. If he can keep closing and closing, he'll move to the right hand side of the track then, try and grab the inside line as we head away in towards Stowe Corner. Is he going to be far enough ahead as this Blyer swoops his way through? He'll hold on to the position for now. He'll keep the nose ahead, but as we head away in towards Vale and towards Club Corner for the final time, Blyer later on the brakes, can he get it all slowed down? Meanwhile, ahead of them, Moritz Lerner wins in Silverstone and puts himself at the top of the pecking order. Maximilian Benecke in second place. It's Florian Haase who finishes off in third place then. It looks like it's going to be Dominic Blyer in fourth, Marcel Sinsic in fifth place, Kamil Pawlowski rounding off the top 6. And there's a picture that paints 1,000 words. Moritz Lerner winning here in Silverstone. And although they've had one win, one P2 and one pole position shared between the two of them in the battle between Moritz Lerner and Maximilian Benecke, where race 2 is the tiebreaker decider, it's going to be Lerner who puts himself at the top of the order. Maximilian Benecke finishes in P2 in the standings, both on the same points, at least for now. Of course, there were fastest laps that we didn't know, and there's 2 points available for those. So if Moritz Lerner got fastest lap, then we may well be looking at a tie break, which is the result of the second race. Either way, what we do know is that they've both made it, and we'll have to have a lot of maths here. There'll be provisional results as well. Moritz Lerner tops the table for Silverstone in a race where it all happened behind him, and all he had to do, Antonia, was just manage the gap from there.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Kieran, or any of you guys listening at home, but my heart rate is unhealthily high as we see the race results come up here. That was just beyond brilliant. Wow. I have to give full props to every single driver in that final race there. Not only have they hard earned their spot, but they fought for it and held on there until the very end. That was just absolutely exceptional. Some brilliant displays of driving. And what an exceptional championship this is shaping into.
Indeed it is, and of course we'll have sort of provisional ideas as we head into this. There will be reviews and stewards' inquiries that I'm sure will be decided and we'll confirm later on the Hyundai N Virtual Cup social media of our top 5. But it's pretty hard to say that it won't be Moritz Lerner and Maximilian Benecke who've booked their flights for South Korea. Amazing driving from them both, pretty much ahead of the rest of the field. They were absolutely brilliant, weren't they?
Just exemplar through every single round. I've seen neither Max Benecke nor Moritz Lerner put a single toe wrong for any of the races, and frankly both of them are champions in all of our hearts at least. They were just brilliant. Such displays of mature driving, intelligent driving, fantastic faultless racecraft. I cannot praise them highly enough. They set themselves apart from the rest of the grid. Consistently, race by race, they deserve every accolade.
They do indeed, and yeah, brilliant to see, brilliant to watch on as well. As yeah, at that moment, it pretty much, well, very much decided part of the race was the contact between Florian Haase and Maximilian Benecke right at the first corners there. and that allowed Moritz Lerner to break away from the rest of the field. Beneke managed to close the gap by about 2 seconds, but it wasn't, the race wasn't long enough for Beneke to close in anymore.
Well, that's the thing. It's a sprint race. They all knew that, and you have to control your race accordingly. You have to strategize yourself. You've not got a pit wall in these races. You have to be able to set that up in your head. And that initial incident, I completely agree, set the tone for the rest of the race. And of course, there is always in racing an element of luck, but let's not let that in any way take away from the huge achievement that Moritz Lerner has here. And Max Beneke for managing to close up that gap as well. Yes, incidents shape a race, but what a race it was.
I'm hearing we may be able to share with you our provisional top 5. And, well, looks like fastest laps did go the way of Maximilian Beneke. He is your provisional leader and part of the top 5, booking their spot to South Korea. Moritz Lerner then in second place, Dominic Blyer third, Florian Haase fourth, and Kieran Harrison rounds off Europe's competitors who will be heading to South Korea. Now, this is provisional, subject to stewards' inquiries, but that is your top 5 to represent Europe in the finals in South Korea. Brilliant stuff to see, brilliant racing throughout our Europe competitors, and it looks like it was fastest laps in the end that favoured Maximilian Beneke. It must have been a case that he had fastest lap for both races. That's how he's top. Even though they had shared results, shared pole positions, it looks like the fastest laps went the way of Maximilian Beneke.
Well, that just shows the extent to which every point counted. When we were speaking over the race, we were saying every point counts, every position counts, but that in itself shows just the extent to which that is true. Every single tenth of a second played into that result there. And I think we've got a fantastic final coming our way. I'm interested to see how the remaining semi-final rounds go. I'm sure they'll be equally exciting, but wow, Europe delivered.
It really did. I'm hearing we have an interview now with Dominic Blyer, so let's go over now to our interview room. And Dominic, can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Dominic, well, congratulations. You had a hard-fought battle out there, but you're one of our top 5, so huge congratulations to you. How were the 2 races for you tonight? I mean, you looked like you were on the attack for race 1 and on the defense for race 2.
Yeah, it was very tough today. Didn't have quite pace for the top, but actually we managed it pretty well. The quality in first race wasn't the best for me. I didn't put the lap in, so I had to go through the field a bit. But yeah, and in the second race the car just stopped turning in the actual race, so I had to defend all the time. So yeah, I'm very happy, and I guess we see you in the LAN.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, talk us through your feelings now. You've made the top 5, you're heading to South Korea. What does that mean to you?
I think a lot. I can visit the South Korea also, so yeah, that's very nice, and yeah, I think that's it.
I mean, let's talk about as well some of the journey you've had to make to get through. You've had to go through the pre-qualifiers, the qualifiers themselves, the semi-finals where you've got into the top 5. I mean, it's a culmination now. You're one of Europe's drivers in the region, in the final, in the world finals.
Yeah, the road was over long to be there. Actually, the people we are racing with are very quick, so competition is tough also. It's not easy. It's never easy, but yeah, we managed it. Was a bit lucky also, but yeah, I think we gonna represent good Europe on the LAN. I hope so.
I think so. I think you will. Dominic, I'll leave you to go and celebrate now. Big congratulations. Well done on making it into the top 3. And I'm sure you're eyeing up South Korea already. Fully deserved. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you there to Dominic Blyer, who very much earned his spot in the top 3 now. And, well, he can be looking on for South Korea to Seoul and looking to make sure he's in peak condition when he heads to South Korea. We're just getting our next interview lined up then, which I believe we're going to hear from Moritz Lerner. And, of course, finishing second place in the standings overall. And that was due to fastest laps then. We're just grabbing him in. Moritz, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, hello.
Loud and clear. Unfortunately for you, Moritz. Congratulations. Second place in the points standings. And I have to say, that image of you winning at Silverstone with the biggest smile on your face is a picture that no words can create. I mean, talk us through your point of view on that race.
Well, the smile wasn't really for winning. It was because I heard that Max tried to get the fastest lap in the last lap, apparently. And did some qualifying strategies in the last corner to get it. So it was just funny. I didn't even think of the money that we win in this semi-final as well. But after all, I did my personal best in qualifying, which was kind of unexpected. And then race was pretty much really good as well. Few mistakes here and there. Max was really quick. He reeled in the gap a little bit. But overall, the whole event was pretty good. I think me and Max together, we found a very good setup for the car and just got the most out of it with the driving as well. And it was smooth sailing from there. Still not easy, of course, to hit those times, but it was, I think, very well executed.
Very well executed indeed. And we didn't actually see any battling between yourself and Beneke at any point really tonight. I mean, we had the first couple of laps, but what seemed to have a huge factor in helping you break away from the rest of the pack in race 2 was the contact that happened right behind you. I mean, are you looking in your rear view mirrors when you get to Maggots and Beckett's and thinking that's a huge gap I've got behind me?
Yeah, I immediately saw the contact behind me. I was like, okay, I have a little bit of a gap now that I can work with, because knowing Max, everyone knows that as soon as Max is behind you, he will just close up the gap. And the 2 seconds were good to work with for me. And of course, we don't battle. It wouldn't make sense at all to battle in this kind of format that we have right now. We just want to go into the final, to the world final. I didn't even think of the money, of course. Maybe I would have pushed for the fastest lap a bit more, but battling would be stupid, and we just did our job to get to the world final.
Yeah, absolutely, and a job well executed as well. I mean, you're going to South Korea, second place in that standing, then in the point standing. You're taking money away with you as well as part of the prize pool for these semi-finals. Talk us through how you're feeling. You're going to represent Europe as one of the top 5 drivers in this Hyundai N Virtual Cup. Talk us through that.
Honestly, I was really, really nervous, and I was pushing myself to qualify for this race because I basically had a kind of a bad year this year in terms of competition. So I wanted to end the year on a high. So I was really pushing myself to do well here. It wasn't really the nicest few days before the event because it just took that long to get here. But yeah, it feels great to qualify now. First time for me in South Korea. I think that's going to be a great experience. I wanted to go there, have vacation there anyways for years already because I think it's a great country. And I think I'm really excited for the event, how it's going to be there, and I hope I also have a bit of time to see a bit of the country or the city.
I'm sure you will. I mean, you've been waiting for a holiday. You've had to earn this holiday, so go and enjoy it, Moritz. And congratulations for making it into the top 5.
Thank you very much.
Moritz Lerner there, who finished second place in our top 5 here of the 2 races tonight, pipped by fastest laps. We did think that might have been the case when Beneke appeared at the top of the points standings. And we're going to round off our interviews then with Maximilian Beneke, who joins us now. Maximilian, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Max, it's deja vu. You're not talking to Evan this time, you're talking to me, unfortunately for you. But almost the perfect sweep through qualifiers and in towards the semi-final. I mean, let's talk about race 1 so far, because you managed to break away. The top 4 really managed to break away, and you managed to keep the consistent pace.
Yeah, race 1, obviously with the changed rules yesterday was a bit of a challenge. So we tried to get as much out of the track as we could, out of the car. But very happy overall with the performance there. I think I had a very, very good quali lap there. Very happy with that. And then from there on, it was just, I had Moritz directly behind me. Obviously, we talked to each other. So from there on, we knew we have a good chance at just trying to break away. And in the end, that's quite what happened. So probably boring race to watch for you guys, but very entertaining for us. So exactly like we would like it. So yeah, overall, very, very happy with the first race, because it takes a lot of pressure away obviously, for the second race.
Yeah, and we were speaking to Moritz as well about race 2, about how he managed to get the pole position by 2/100ths of a second. The only driver who's managed to beat you to a pole position so far in these events, which is astounding to say the least. But as well, it was decided on fastest lap, which the reason he was smiling as he went across the line was that he realised you went on a quali sim lap for your final lap of the race to take those points away. So you finish top, you get the top honours in the prize money for this stage. But also, Max, you're representing Europe as one of the top 5 drivers in South Korea at the World Final. Talk to us. How are you feeling? How does that feel for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty much amazing. And like, I was not even thinking about the money. Like, fastest lap, it's a team fight in the end, and we both tried to, knock the last lap in there. Obviously, I tried as much as possible. Very happy it happened, but in the end, we knew that we're going to make it through anyways with 1-2 in quali. And then obviously, going to be the first time for me to be in South Korea. I'm going to be very excited for that, looking very much forward to it. But it's still a competition and we still have to work for it. And obviously, we want to also be on the top spots of the podium there. Happy to represent Europe, especially because I think it's been very tight throughout the last couple of races. The challenge was definitely there. So now I feel like quite relieved that we actually make it, because so many things can happen. But yeah, very much looking forward to it, and hoping for a good show. And we'll do my best to also have the best results possible there.
I'm sure you will. Final question from me, Max, before I let you go and celebrate. Is there anyone from any other regions you're sort of eyeing up? You finished top of Europe. Are there any other regions, any other drivers you're thinking, I'm going to watch out for you?
I think especially, I think it's Guan Yu Kim from the South Korea region. I've known him already for a couple of years, especially on other simulations. So I think he's going to be very quick. Also watched some of the races that they did after us. So I think he's going to be a very good challenger because he has also the home ground behind him. We will see. It's going to be very interesting for sure.
It will be indeed. Well, Max, congratulations on booking your spot into South Korea. All the best for the 11th of January.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And so we know 5 drivers who are going to South Korea, 15 to go, Antonia. We have our USA semi-finals tomorrow. And if today is anything to go by, you should definitely tune in tomorrow.
Oh my goodness, yeah, if you guys are listening at home to this, it seems like we are really in for a treat. Every round leading up to this has been so competitive, and it's so nice to see everything culminate in some really exciting semi-finals. I can only imagine what the World Finals are going to be like. I think they'll be absolutely riveting. But the quality of racing and the ability of the drivers has floored me every single round that we've witnessed. It really has been a privilege.
It really has, and we followed as well the regional qualifiers for the United States. They are hard and fast racing. Don't be scared about door-to-door contact. That's all for tomorrow. Make sure you do join us then. Subscribe to the channel so you make sure you get the notification we go live so you don't miss the action. Antonia, it's been a pleasure to bring these races to our audience with you.
It has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Kieran, and thank you everyone who's listening. It has been a blast. So much fun seeing these Elantras virtually come to life. What a great time.
What a great time. More to come tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching along. Make sure you do tune in to the USA semi-finals tomorrow. Thank you as well to all of our sponsors. You can see them down below as well for helping us bring you the Hyundai N Virtual Cup. And until tomorrow, when we head stateside to find the next 5 drivers, you'll have to wait with us and tune in tomorrow to see who will make it. Until then, take care of yourselves and we'll see you tomorrow.